Tough times create strong men. Strong men create easy times. Easy times create weak men. Weak men create tough times.
What's the difference between a nice guy and a good man?
A nice guy gets along. They don't necessarily have discernment or judgment, not sure what they stand for or stand against. A good man has ideals that they stand for and they'll stand against, and when they're tested, a good man is not a nice guy.
What does a man do, Walter? A man provides. And he does it even when he's not appreciated. He simply bears up. And he does it because he's a man.
God created a man to be a leader, to be a fighter, to set examples in his home, his house, for his wife, for his kids, for other men around him that look up to him. And how can you do that if you don't know what your true purpose is?
When do you become a man? I grew up in a culture that told me going to war made you a man. Going to prison, coming back makes you a man. Making $1 million makes you a man. And it doesn't. You become a man when you become responsible for other people. And part of that is taking accountability.
You're a man. You are a man. Stand up and be a man. Make the hard decisions. Make the sacrifices. Make the unpopular decisions. And become comfortable in your own skin.
Godfather, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
You can act like a man! What's the matter with you?
We all face challenges. We all have setbacks. We all suffer. When these difficulties hit, some people break. They surrender. They curl up in a ball and wait for the clock to run out. They quit. But there are other people who are diametrically opposed to that attitude. People who, in spite of incredible challenges, adapt and overcome.
Every man at some point in his life is going to lose a battle. He's going to fight and he's going to lose. But what makes him a man is that in the midst of that battle, he does not lose himself.
Give me more! That's it! Show me! Show me! Show me! Come on! You keep going, Brock! Come on! Come on! Keep going! You promised me your best! Your best!
There's a thing that men need. They need difficult tasks, and they need to know that they can overcome difficult tasks. And through that, you develop your human potential.
We're not men because we face the battle and we get immediately victory every time a battle comes up. We're men because we face the battle and we stay in the battle when we feel like we're losing and we feel like we're getting beat up, but we stay in there.
There's a moment when every boy realizes no one's coming to save him. And that's when he becomes a man. And some boys never get there and stay children forever.
There's nobody coming. There's nobody coming to save you. There's nobody coming to help you. A knight in shining armor isn't going to ride in and save you. You are the only one that's going to be able to save you.
And welcome back to We Are the People. This is your host, Jason Preston. And I obviously today want to talk about masculinity. I want to talk about testosterone. I want to talk about what it means to be a man. I want to talk about all the problems we're facing. Our world is falling apart. We are losing our freedoms. We are exposing rampant child abuse, trafficking that is happening from Epstein that is coming out, and nobody is coming to save you. We keep talking to people about that. People are so wired and conditioned to be weak men who are depending and begging for a savior on a white horse, a politician, or someone in a church clergy robe or in a white suit and tie to come and save us from the evils that are infesting our nation and our neighborhoods. It's something that's, look, this show is not going to be popular. This topic is not popular with probably many of the people on this channel, but the fact of the matter is there is nothing we are doing here about being popular. There's nothing we are doing here about getting clicks. We're not interested in algorithms. We are interested in warfare. We are waging war against those who have been seeking to destroy our freedoms, our country, our children, and especially those in our own backyard here in Utah. And that is why we do this show. We do not do this show to what is trending and what's going to be popular. We do this show because we are waging war and we know there are enemies among us. And we know that it is not politicians. We know that it is not people in church leadership who are coming to save us. It is you. And so this show to me is important because nations rise and fall on the backs of the men. And strong men bring about good times. Strong men like the founding fathers are willing to lay their lives, their fortune, their sacred honor on the line for their posterity. And they pay the price that their children might be free. However, down the road, their children and grandchildren who grow up in prosperity, who grow up in ease, who have the most to lose, such as we do, often do the least to protect those freedoms, to protect their posterity. And that is where we are as a nation. So why am I doing this? Because I am fighting against these people who are seeking to overthrow our freedoms. And I use social media as a tool. That's it. This is a tool to fight back. It is only a tool. This is not who I am. It is not who we are. We are the people. Our mission is to fight for these children. It is to fight to preserve our Constitution that is under attack. And one of my biggest concerns right now is declining levels of testosterone. I do not think it is an accident, and I think it is a much bigger issue in our backyard than people realize. And as we set the stage for this, for years we've been talking about Utah as being ground zero for all these globalist agendas and corruption. We've asked ourselves, we've asked you, where is the pushback? Why Utah? Why has Utah become a state filled with nice guys? Where are the men who are standing up against these atrocities, the rampant, when we are ranked one of the highest states in the country for child sex abuse? When we have politicians who are blatantly in our face pushing legislation to protect perpetrators? When we know our children are dying at record rates of suicide? Where are the men? And the answer is the men have been turned into nice guys. It's actually interesting too. During COVID, do you know who was the ones who we saw showing up at the school boards, showing up at the Capitol? It was women. When we have our rallies to protect to call out the abuse, the child sex abuse, the ritual abuse that was rampant in the state, you know who shows up for the most part? It is the women. So, look. I'm not interested in likes here. I'm interested in effectiveness. And if we can get a few men to start standing up, a few men to say, you know what, I am going to do something about this. I'm going to get in the fight. That's all that matters, because we do not need the masses, but we need a few strong men like we had that founded this country. Men like the men at the 300 with King Leonidas. We need men to stand and fight. So I want to share a few things that I think are very pertinent, and then we're going to get into Utah. So the first thing I want to share is this little clip. And it's from, honestly, this is, if you're not following this channel, I'd highly recommend you follow this channel. It's one that's got a lot of great content, but it's called the Academy of Ideas. And I want to share this little section right here.
Obesity suppresses testosterone production, as does porn consumption, excessive screen time, and endocrine-disrupting chemicals found in plastic products and packaging, personal care and household products, and tap water. And falling testosterone levels are another sign that the biology of Western individuals is deteriorating. Across the Western world, the average testosterone level of men has fallen by 30 to 50% in just 2 generations. In contrast, in many non-Western societies, such as regions of Africa, Asia, the Middle East, and South America, men are experiencing less of a decline in testosterone levels, or in some cases, no decline at all. A 30-year-old Western male today has a significantly lower testosterone level than a 30-year-old male born 30 years earlier. Almost the same low testosterone level as his 60-year-old father, writes Neiman. Testosterone is not only a hormone associated with aggression and reproduction. It is the biological substrate of energy, confidence, drive, and purpose. It enhances muscular strength and bone density, as well as focus, mood, competitiveness, resilience, and it decreases fatigue and sensitivity to pain. In experiments where participants were splashed with ice-cold water, those with higher testosterone levels showed a reduced reaction and stress response. That is, stronger resilience and resistance to stress, explains Neiman. the so-called parasympathetic nervous system, which has a more relaxing effect on the body, was more strongly activated in men with high T, and they remained overall calmer. As testosterone levels have fallen, so has fertility. Sperm counts in Western men have declined by more than half since the 1970s, while birth rates have fallen below replacement levels in every Western country. The biological engine of civilization, fertility, is sputtering. And as Neiman explains, declining testosterone levels also negatively affect sperm count and quality. Sperm cells are produced in the testicles under the direct influence of testosterone. If levels are low, then sperm quality and numbers decrease, impairing male fertility. It has been observed at least since the 1970s that both sperm count and quality are decreasing in most Western countries. Low testosterone levels can account for the crisis of masculinity and the scarcity of men who embody the virtues of heroic manhood. A society of men with healthy testosterone levels tends to be oriented toward building, protecting, taking principled risks, defending and upholding important values, and showing resilience in the face of hardship. But as testosterone levels decline, the character of men changes. Men with a low testosterone are apathetic, physically and emotionally fragile, pathologically risk-averse, obsessed with safety, and increasingly dependent on external authorities, be it parents, bureaucrats, or the state, to guide, protect, and provide. And as Neiman writes, could it be that young men increasingly stay at home because they are listless and lacking in energy? That they prefer video games to being out and about in reality because they feel apathetic about life? That there is less and less drive in men because they simply have less testosterone? Western men are less competitive and aggressive, more listless, apathetic, depressed, less dynamic, childless, weaker, more sensitive to pain, and less powerful. We may safely assume that even the tendency towards androgynous could stem from a decrease in T levels. The biological decline of Western individuals can also help explain the growing authoritarian tendencies of Western governments. As IQ and testosterone levels have dropped, people have become more apathetic to political corruption, less resistant to governmental overreach, and more accepting of the simplistic narratives of state propaganda.
So, again, I just find that we are clearly seeing the rise of the authoritarian state, the surveillance state. You look what's going on in China. You look what, with the social credit system. We see it rolling out here. We see the corruption in the schools. I mean, you cannot not see it. The whole woke agenda, and even the corruption on the right because again, where is a lot of the surveillance coming? It is coming from the right. And who is it that's going to stop this corruption? Who is going to protect these children, if not you? And so as I look at these, issues with low testosterone and how it leads to more complacent, obedient men, I cannot think of anything if I was a dictator would want more than have a nation full of men with low testosterone, a nation of nice guys who simply obey. And as Benjamin Franklin said, obedience to God, rebellion to tyranny is obedience to God. And that is the culture we have to bring back. So let's talk about Utah, because I think this is where it gets real. And again, this is the thing that fascinates me. According to the 2025 World Population Review, average testosterone levels vary wildly by state. Florida tops the testosterone levels at 500 on average. And again, what do you see? Florida, that was the state during COVID that was pushing back the most. Arkansas, 499, even California at 450. Well, where's Utah? Utah is scraping the bottom at an average, just hovering about 440. That puts us at 40 to 45th nationally, far below the U.S. average of 459, and it's not improving. What else do we see in Utah? Well, Utah ranks number 1 in Google interest for people searching low testosterone and related terms. With people spiking in the search, normal testosterone levels in males is up 1,450%. Why are these searches higher in Utah? Because we're feeling it. Because the men know that there is something wrong with their testosterone levels. I've got an incredible... I know some incredible young men. One man who's incredible, literal warrior in the military. He's young, 25 years old, and he came to me and said, Jason, You wouldn't believe it, but my testosterone levels, I think it was under 300. And I was shocked. And he says, yeah, that's how most of my friends are. Unbelievable. But again, at some point we have to say, what is going on? The other thing talked about is fertility rates. Sperm counts are down 50% since the 1970s. Utah's birth rate has crashed 36%. In fact, Utah has seen one of the sharpest drops among U.S. states in recent comparisons from 2011 to 2020. So, again, when you are at the top of the country in a statistic, at some point we have to pull back and say, why? And we've done shows, and we're going to dig into that today. And I think there's several reasons, but I cannot see one of the biggest reasons. It comes down to political corruption. This is not like the people born in this state are any different. So when we have low testosterone levels in the state, we have to ask what's happening different here. We know we have lobbyists. Rio Tinto has lobbyists who have been lobbying our politicians to turn a blind eye, to allow our numbers of what's acceptable to be higher than other states. We've talked about that in show after show after show. But what I want to dig in today is specifically some of the things we can do to address the issue and start getting men who are willing to stand and fight again. There are many things that are affecting our testosterone levels. Obesity is a huge issue. What is in the water, which I'm about to bring Nelson on to talk about that. But also even chemtrails. People talk about the chemtrails and everything dropping. People forget the stuff that drops in these chemtrails. And again, that I think has to be factored into this is when we find out Utah is leading the nation in cloud seeding.
Thanks to a massive infusion of cash and some new technologies, the state now operates the world's largest remote-controlled cloud seeding program.
We're off to a great start this water year. Hopefully it's not a repeat of last year's pattern.
The group that oversees Utah's water resources got some good news when it comes to cloud seeding. That's pumping silver iodide into the atmosphere to squeeze a little more precipitation out of a storm.
The statewide average is 10.4% increase in snowpack.
To help in Utah's drought and the crisis facing the Great Salt Lake and the Colorado River, Utah jumped into cloud seeding in a big way. The legislature upped the budget from $200,000 a few years ago to nearly $16 million. That allowed the state to invest in remote-controlled generators.
When it improves the efficiency, they can be turned on and off quicker, and it also improves the effectiveness because they can be placed at higher elevations above temperature inversions, for example.
The state is also purchasing new drones to do cloud seeding. That helps in areas like the La Salle Mountains in southeastern Utah, where they found ground generators don't work as well because of climate patterns in that region.
I think it's really exciting that we're leading the world.
Dana Van Horn, who represents southeastern Utah communities on the board, says it could help.
If we can increase the snowpack in the La Salle Mountains, I think that it'll directly impact the Colorado River flow.
In fact, lower Colorado River Basin states are now paying Utah to do cloud seeding because it benefits them.
They recognize that the water supply for the Colorado is in our mountains.
Idaho has also started kicking in money to help the Bear River and the Great Salt Lake. The state is also partnering with academic institutions for research on cloud seeding. Silver iodide is found to be safe.
Cloud seeding is a part of a silver buckshot method. There are no silver bullets as it relates to solving our Western water issues.
But environmentalists caution that cloud seeding is just one tool to help.
You know, I think the best thing that we could be doing is just reducing our use all over the place, but that's painful. This is a somewhat expensive way to mitigate that pain.
The intent of cloud seeding is to increase the amount of snowpack, even if it's a small amount.
The state plans to roll out more of those cloud seeding drones in the coming months. In West Jordan, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
And what is when they drop that stuff into the sky, that comes down into the ground, it seeps down into the water, and we're eventually drinking it. So, to me, one of the biggest issues that I see here is there are several things we're going to talk about. One is the water. I'm going to bring Nelson on and talk about what's in the water. I'm also going to talk about some things afterwards. Actually, I'm going to jump onto a few things, then we'll bring on the water because I want to have him finish on that. But there are certain things you can do. One of the things is get in the sun more often. You need to be in the sun, a couple hours a day in the sun. They say, bodybuilding, particularly compound weights, deadlifting, squats, bench press, lifting heavy every single day, eating red meat, getting sleep, getting rid of the poisons. So what I want to do now is bring in Nelson McElveen because he is an expert understanding water. He's spent a lot of time researching Utah. We've spent a lot of time talking about what's going on here. And I want to talk about the chemicals because from the plastics in the water bottles, the PFAs, I'm going to have him break down and talk about the chemicals that are in our backyard, fertilizers that are being put into farms, and how that is affecting you. So, Nelson, let me turn it over to you, and why don't you talk to us about some of the chemicals and the problems in that we should be aware of here in Utah?
Well, Utah, how did we get here? That's the biggest question, right?
Right.
I mean, Jason, that's what you're trying to help folks understand. And what I see is, and let me share with you, like, okay, for instance, how did the clear water, mountain streams, reservoirs in Utah, which you have many, turn into basically poisonous water, okay? And what I mean by that is it's a slow drip. You drink a little bit every day, and a little bit of something stays in your system, okay? And that's what we're seeing. So what has happened is the days when you were able to go out and enjoy water at a source have become now days where you have to, because of what you just said, of all these different toxins falling from the sky, you had to have some kind of a filtration product in front of you, right? So let's talk about that. It all comes down to what's lurking in Utah's water. Chemicals that mimic, block, hijack our homeland. And with the testosterone taking the biggest hit, that's our biggest problem, right? And what you're saying is, and I never really gave this much thought until you brought this up. I never thought this. But with the lack of testosterone, the world changes.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I got to say something here. I had a gentleman, he's from Utah, in my shop yesterday. And he was so nice. So nice. He was like, I'm like, no, man up. I'm like, be bold, Yeah. I'll take care of that now. And I said, guys, and I'm seeing this more and more.
It's that cupcake teddy bear Christian, we get, willing to get walked over and have our whole way of life hijacked because we want to be nice. And I think that's tied to that.
And it's very strange that you said that. And that dawned on me yesterday. I was like, what is going on? People take me sometimes for being too bold. But guess what? I have sit my kids down and I said this to them. What would you die for? That's being bold. Your family, your friends, your faith, right? People pushing, and basically they go after you, they go after your kids. So that's and that's what testosterone gives you. It gives you that inner strength, right? So here's where we're at.
Well, let me add this in real quick, because here's the thing. It would be very interesting to see the testosterone levels of our founding fathers versus today. And I'll tell you another thing too. You go back and you go to Greece or Rome and you look at the statues they had of men. Those guys were jacked. And I believe they probably were jacked because their testosterone levels were through the roof compared to the beta men that we've become today.
Well, now you mentioned that. So I had my dog check mine, right? He goes, Nelson, you're at 720.
Wow.
I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, you're fine. I'm like, think I should take some pills, right? I should do something, take some shots, I got friends that are taking these testosterone.
No,
right?
720 solid. That's okay. Great.
Well, what that does though, Jason, it makes you a fighter. You don't lay over for nothing. And that's the difference. My kids look at me like, you're the most aggressive, pushy, you're into it. I mean, you got passion, you go after stuff. I said, that comes from your inner, who you are inner. I don't know the testosterone. I know all the, you know it better than I do, but I'm just going by how I was made up. And if if you're a businessman and you're out there trying to make a difference, you better have some extra edge.
Yeah.
And that's testosterone.
Yeah, well, and that's what Jordan Peterson says. He says you should be a monster, and you should but learn to control it. And that is what we need. Is we need men that are monsters, men that have high testosterone, men that are aggressive, that will protect people around them, but yet are controlled. They don't lose their temper when they're in their homes. They don't fly off the edge. They're controlled. But we need them to be. We need aggressive men. We need men who will stand up to governments that are out of control, but that have it under control and do not fly off the handle with their kids and their families.
No, you got to protect your families. You got to protect your children, protect your wives. That's the rules. We can't change them, and we shouldn't change them. Well, let's break this down.
Yeah.
One poison at a time, okay?
Okay.
So let's get to the pesticide.
Okay.
Now, you mentioned something very disturbing, chemtrails. In chemtrails, there are pesticides. That's one of the things in chemtrails, okay? And they always seem to do it when it's going to rain. So that ends up into your ground somehow, some way. You know, and people are starting to actually get so overexposed to this, they're actually starting to have reactions to it. And my wife's one of them. When it happens, their eyes burn, their nose burns. These are things that we shouldn't have to deal with, right? So let's talk about Utah's farmland in Cacha Valley, Utah's county. You
went to Basin?
Yes, Uruguay Basin. Even those perfect green golf courses in St. George, they're all sprayed heavily. I mean, and I can't express how heavy they are being sprayed with altazine, glycerol, chlorophene, and a dozen other different products that people just put together, and it kills and makes everything green and pretty and solve out the almighty dollar, right? You're not going to go on a golf course that is brown, okay? So they have to do all the different dances to make everything look gorgeous. And then that, we are paying the price. They just aren't weed killers. They are proven testosterone slashers. So what happens? You go golfing, you pick your ball up, you touch the grass. What did you touch? All those poisons.
Yeah.
The minute you touch something with your hands, it goes into your blood, right? And we'll get into that through the water, because there's a whole nother genre of touching water and what goes into your system from there, right? So what we're looking at here is atrazine is infamous for turning male frogs fully female in concentrations already found in some of our U.S. rivers. And Utah's AG-heavy areas show heavier contamination in runoff. Glyphosate, the Roundup staple, binds to soil, but still washes into streams. Now, that's great. It doesn't have to wash into streams. Anything that goes into the soil goes into the drinking water. Over time, everything settles down. Doesn't come up, it goes down, right? So it's going to get into your aquifers sooner or later. And that is a major problem when it comes to, nitrates. All of these things are what is causing us to have issues across the board.
So you talked about the atrazine, and that's the stuff that they found. It turns male frogs fully female. And I think you said that stuff has been found in U.S. in some of our rivers in the United States, and including in Utah's heavy agricultural areas. They're finding that along with Roundup. So again, I mean, people, I don't know, and look, we need farmers. We need farms. And I love that we have farms, but the problem is the stuff that's going in the farms, the chemicals is now going into the soil, which now comes, again, these are things that matter.
Well, but it's even worse than that. Everything that the farmer applies to the soil goes into the food.
Yeah. Food and the water.
In the water, right? So I'm just saying, you take it one step. We are in a self-destruction mode. It's a problem, right? So like you said, we need to start fine-tuning our world. And that's our diet. That's what you take in water, all these things. So that's what I'm seeing. And that's what I'm working on in my life. So bottom line is, I've never been healthier. But what I've been doing is everything you said. Okay? So that's one of the areas That's one of the areas that I am working on. And I'm very interested. This is very, very educational because I'm looking at this stuff saying, oh my gosh, I knew it was there, but I didn't really know it was there. And that's the problem, Jason.
Yeah.
You got to tell people you don't know, right?
So people have heard of forever chemicals. I'm sure you guys have all heard of PFAs. They never break down, and they come from firefighting foams at places like Hill Air Force Base, Camp Williams, industrial sites, food packaging, and even laced in pesticides.
Okay. That is a problem. And I'm afraid to tell you this, but they tell you there's only 20, right? That's the kind. No, there's 220.
220 PFAs.
Yes. And where they come from is manufacturing. Heavy metals. All these different things create PFAs. All right. So you bind these all together, there's approximately 220 of them that we have to remove from the water alone. And they end up settling in the aquifers, underground aquifers, and they go from there. So one of the questions that we get asked quite often by EPA types people, when we pull these things out of the water, where do they go? Right?
Right.
So you think about that. They go back into the ground. So it's a revolving circle. And we love to speak, especially more liberal type people. They love to speak about sustainability. You've heard that word, right? Everything's sustainability, you say, right? And what we have not, and we will not apply to, is if we want to be sustainable, we have to remove PFAS out of the circle of life. We're not. We take it out, the filter goes back into the ground, and then we start all over again. The only way to do these kind of things is with fire. So they put them in furnaces and they burn them to a very high temperature, and then they dissolve from that point. But we haven't really applied the resources, financial resources, to do those kind of things.
So basically, they're just getting recycled.
Oh, tremendously. What we have done recently, going back as many as 1992, there's a law passed that we had to take batteries and put them in cement coffins, so that the battery acid wouldn't leach back into the ground. Okay, we did that. We need to do that with PFAs. Okay, so that's an area that we talk about. What we haven't really gone after, but now you have thyroid issues, immune suppression. That's a big one. Okay, like beat your immune, I own you, right? Immune suppression, cancers, and testosterone. Okay, so what we're seeing, University of Utah engineers are developing new absorption techniques to contain these products, but it all comes down to a relationship with the average person and the government. So now you're relying on the government to contain and grab these components and put them in a place that's not going to hurt you.
Right.
There's your issue. So there's where you have your heavy metals, you have toxic dust, you have oil. I didn't know this. And with the drying up of the Great Salt Lake, kicking up toxic dust loaded with heavy metals, because you have a lot of we have a lot of mines in this part of the world, and that's where everything starts, right? Mining, because mining uses arsenic and these kind of things, and that's the start of the problem, is what I'm trying to say. And so we have the heavy metals, pesticides, and PFAs, and it's just not in the water, but it's also in the air group.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, Utah has some of the worst air.
Really, I mean, I know that. I think is it worse than Alaska?
I don't know how it compares to Alaska, but I know it's one of the worst nations because of the mountains. So what happens is everything kind of sits and the mountains protect it, so that all the toxins just kind of sit there. Tell us about pharmaceuticals.
Okay, I was getting ready to go into that one. Every day, millions of milligrams of antidepressants, statins, beta blockers, painkillers. I'm starting to feel sick already, Jason. Thank you for this. And more get flushed into or excreted, winding up in wastewater. That's a mouthful, okay? The treatment plans catch some, but not all. Associated Press investigation have found over 200 different drugs in U.S. waterways, including right here in the Jordan River. Many are designed to alter hormones and block receptors, and traces end up back in reservoirs like Bear Creek.
Okay, I want to restate that. So the Associated Press have found that over 200 different drugs are found in our waterways, including right here in Jordan River. That's crazy.
And that was your PFAs. That's the other 200 I was telling you about. Okay?
So besides the PFAs, and you got pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, so pharmaceuticals are very difficult to remove from the water. Almost impossible. Okay? Because pharmaceuticals come in many different forms. One, the person gets rid of their old pills because they got new ones from the doctor. They go down the toilet into your drinking water. Because as we know, right, Jason? When I go to the washroom, you get to drink it down the road.
Right.
We know that.
Right.
Okay. What we're doing also, because our country has grown by over 20 million new people, that has created a problem with every facet of water, meaning they cannot flip the water fast enough, meaning treat it fast enough. So they are digging quicker into the wastewater because it's already been flipped once. And it's easier to add some chemicals, not all chemicals, at a faster pace. So what that means now is, let's go back here, when we mentioned it earlier about wastewater and all these problems going into the wastewater, correct? So when they bring the wastewater back to life sooner, it's not being properly treated. And how do we treat wastewater and all these problems? The dirt scrubs the water, not chemicals. Now we're relying on more chemicals. That means you're not going to drink this, you say. I'm going to use some kind of bottled water or something of that nature, right? But here's your problem. Don't take a shower. It goes through your skin. You're a big sponge. So you're getting the benefit of this water, one way or the other. It's going into your body. When you take a shower, you'll collect maybe a pint of additional water inside your body. That's good if it's clean water. If it's bad, it's wastewater.
Right.
So there's where the problem is with pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals are a product that we keep adding to people's diets. Every week you hear a new pharmaceutical out there. So this is like a wheel that isn't stopping. You know, I mean, we take it, we put it in the ground, we add more, we keep going, more potent pharmaceutical. And the worst of it is the antidepressants. You want a man to be a woman or a man to be less of a man? Antidepressants. I've never had the pleasure of using them, but I've talked to my son who did. And he said, you quit dreaming. When a person quits dreaming, they lose everything. Your dreams are what drive you, right? You dream about your family. You dream about your job. You dream about your future. That drives you. When you stop dreaming, you have no drive.
Yeah.
So now you're finding another problem to your situation with the testosterone. Okay. So you start adding all these things up. The world changes every time.
Well, then you add, birth control, all the birth control that's going back in the water. And here's the thing, people are like, well, you know what, I grew up drinking tap water, I'm okay. Well, I would say this. Are you really? I mean, how many people are dying of all sorts of disease? Testosterone levels are falling. I mean, there are so many mental health crises going on. And the problem is every day the water is worse than the day before, especially if you live in a basin where the water just continues to recycle and over and back down, and all the garbage gets back in the ground and back up again. So anything else you want to add on that?
Well, on the birth control part of this whole thing, birth control is a estrogen, right?
Right.
Synthetic. What does estrogen do to men?
Yes. Yeah. All of a sudden they start to get man boobs. I mean, that is the exact, and I'm sure that's probably one of the biggest things that is affecting the testosterone is the birth control hormones in the water.
I'll be honest with you. You mentioned a lot of things, okay? But what I know was this. This is one thing I do know. And the best way to consume this estrogen across the board is through water. That's the best way to do it. I mean, if you want to drink, you want to drink estrogen, this is the way to go. Okay, that's where it's at. When it goes down into the wastewater, it ends up, back in your drinking water. What I'm saying is, out of all the problems out there, this is it.
Yeah,
this is the one that nails everybody, and that is very, very scary. I mean, I don't know how you stop it.
Yeah, so I've got some statistics on that. It says Utah women use contraceptives at national rates, around 65% for reproductive age women. So it adds up to that load hitting our water and beyond. But here's the thing they're saying, though. They actually say that's only a fraction of the estrogen in the water. They say the biggest source actually comes from natural hormones from livestock, people, and industry. But still, the nanograms of that stuff that's in the birth control add up to being a massive, hit on testosterone levels.
I can add to this just a little bit. We are finding in America, well, I shouldn't even say America, in the world, we are finding that, and in Utah, unfortunately, is a big cattle supplier, right?
Yeah.
What we're finding is we're losing up to 50% of our calves will not wean. The smart calves will not wean.
Really?
They won't drink water. They as you well know, when you drink a glass of water or any substance, you taste it, you smell it. If it smells bad, will you drink it? No. You don't even let it get to the taste buds. And the calves will not wean because they can smell that water.
Wow.
That's how big of a deal this is. And they're a lot smarter than we are when it comes to smelling. And they'd rather die than drink the water.
That's crazy. So talk to us about dark water, too, because I know that's something that's starting to become an issue.
Well, dark water is being produced in almost 50% of the states right now. In Utah, if you guys haven't been touched on that, you will be soon. Dark water comes from processing wastewater much quicker than the average, okay? So let's kind of use some numbers here. If we put the wastewater into the ground, it goes into underground aquifers after it goes through a process, and then it sits there for maybe 10 years, 20 years, and the ground cleans it, scrubs it. Then it comes back into the water tablet system, and we drink it. Goes through a water plant, we end up drinking it again. When you go to dark water, and Arizona just went to this, California's doing this, Nevada's doing this, and Colorado's doing this also right now that we know. What they're doing is they're speeding up that process. So instead of 10 years, it could be 1 year, it could be 2 years. But what they're finding is if they speed up the process, they can flip the water, meaning they can take that water and not have to add so many poisons into it, toxins into it, chemicals into it to clean it. Here in Arizona, and I believe Utah is in the same place, you guys are bringing in manufacturing.
Yeah.
You guys are bringing data centers, correct?
Data centers. I mean, yeah, we've got the big government data centers they're pulling in. You've got Texas Instruments that's pulling in, starting to come and demand a ton of water. No, water is an issue here, and yes.
Well, hold on, okay? It's amazing. It's amazing how manufacturing is leaving the areas of the country that had water and coming out to the areas of the country that doesn't have water, like our areas, right? The West. They have to have a certain kind of clean water. They cannot use wastewater. They have to use a level of water that has a certain pH in it, that has a certain makeup of it. So what's happening is the factories are getting the clean water, and the humans, us, are getting the dark water. That's a fact. And that's what they're doing, because they don't need all the chemicals in the clean water. They just have to have a certain makeup, But for us, they throw all the chemicals in trying to remove these things. And by doing so, they've enhanced like chloramines, right? Whoever heard of chloramines? Chloramines are a makeup of chlorine and ammonia in your water to take out parasites and bacteria. Well, here's a funny thing. When was ammonia okay to drink?
Yeah, no way.
Right? I mean, that is what everybody's buying into. Ammonia to drink. Chlorine. When was chlorine okay to drink, right? But we got used to that, apparently. Now we're on something even worse because ammonia is cheaper and it lasts longer in the water.
Wow. You know, and people think, oh, the government wouldn't do stuff like that. And I think we just have to take a quick, just a short trip down memory lane to remember how we end up getting, it's canola oil, which is in almost everything we eat. Canola oil used to be engine oil. They built up a ton of plants during World War II to produce canola oil to run the military industrial complex. What happened after World War II? They said, we have all these plants. We're producing all this oil. We have nothing to do with it. Well, I've got a great idea. What if we can start giving this to consumers? And of course, people were up in arms. How can you feed the people, motor oil, engine oil? Well, what happened? They start getting lobbyists. They start paying, our politicians off, and all of a sudden they start passing regulations to allow it to happen, or lifting regulations. All of a sudden the propaganda machines start coming out, and all of a sudden saying this is great. And next thing you know, we have a dumbed down society that's just drinking this engine oil and eating it in all of our foods. And again, where's our benevolent government that loves us so much? No, you cannot trust the government. Our founding fathers didn't trust the government. That's why we have a constitution. You cannot trust people in power. And you cannot. You are naive if you do. And so to think that these people in power are going to always do what's in your best interest and not what's in their pocketbook's best interest, or whoever their lobbyist is lobbying them to do things is naive. Seed oils. That's another thing that needs to be covered in here. Get off the seed oils. Look, go to Italy, go to Europe, go eat the food. You will not gain weight like you gain here. You will not get sick. We look at the bag of chips in Europe with 3-4 ingredients versus a bag of chips in America that has so many ingredients you can't even read them all. Right. Our government is poisoning us. And if you want to be naive and think that that's not true, that we have these benevolent, leaders and politicians that care so much, I mean, this channel's not for you. I mean, this channel's for people who are willing to think about life and the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. And so, anything else you want to add before we start to wrap up here?
I was just thinking about, our government, they think they're, how do I say this nicely? They're doing what is in best interest for the government, right? To preserve the country. That's their mindset. But at the end of the day, guys, chase and follow the money.
Yeah.
The money will tell you everything Jason said was true. Unfortunately, the lobbyists are about money. Politicians are about money. And if you take the money away, things will get really good. But at the end of the day, it's all about the money.
Yeah. Look at Mitt Romney and his role in, I forget the name of the company, but it was behind, basically it was tied to Agent Orange. All the garbage that his company produced and all the people that he poisoned and all the Agent Orange they sprayed all over our soldiers. These people do not care about you. They care about profits. They think that we are a virus that needs to be taken off the earth. And if you do not look out for yourself, no one else will. And that is going back to this we started about this show about is healthy testosterone levels. We need men who will start protecting their children, protecting their family, protecting other children, calling out corruption in our government, calling out, stop bowing down to the tyranny and to these authoritarians because they wear a white shirt and a tie. Regardless of, Nelson has water company, Century H2O. I'm a huge believer. I've been using it now for, 8 months. Our animals use it, our pets use it. My wife and I love it. We take it everywhere we go. We believe in it. It is the best water system out there that I'm aware of, bar none. In fact, I will tell you this: there is no other water system that, when you have the full system in your house, that will literally, even black water, even if the system goes down and they are pushing feces through there, it will clean it. There is literally nothing it will not clean. There is no other system that I'm aware of that cleans at that level and still leaves the minerals in place, which your body needs. It's not stripping it of the minerals. Now, Nelson, would you just talk about that, and then we'll wrap up. Talk about that, because I know in the system I had before, I had to buy a special light that in case there was a boil order, without the special light, you couldn't drink the water because the special light killed things. Tell us about your system and how it takes care of it without needing even a light.
We are the only, okay, so I'm going to go back to one of the things that Century does very well. Whenever there's a problem, we go in and fix it. When there's a water problem, we fix it. I'm going to tell you the latest problem we ran across. A couple weeks back, we heard about Jamaica getting hit by a hurricane. You all heard that story. What you didn't know was cholera took over the country. And they were burying bodies at a rate that they could not keep up with. That's how bad it was. They gave me a call, and they asked if we could come and help. And what we did was, when we came and helped, we have a filter that Jason was referring to, and it's a paper element filter. And you can drink mud through this filter, and Jason did drink mud through the filter, and it was pretty awesome watching him. But this filter takes cholera out of the water. So we sent in a bunch of units in there, hundreds of thousands of dollars in units, went into Jamaica to calm down the cholera outbreak, okay? So those are the things that Century does. We have the ability to remove the PFAs that Jason was talking about out of the water. We take vaccines out. We take PFOs, plastic out. We take PFAs, 220 of them out. We do these things. Other filter systems out there mask them. We take them out. There's the difference, guys. And we make your water healthy. You want healthy water? You want water that's going to make you a man, make you a woman like no other? We got that kind of water. That water has oxygen in it, crazy oxygen, magnesium and calcium, true magnesium, calcium, not synthetic. That what's already in the water, we enhance. We take your water to an alkaline state. Alkaline does great things for the body, awesome things for the body. That's what we do. We combine all those items together. Oxygen and minerals make hydrogenated water. We've heard about that buzzword, haven't we? By removing the toxins, fluoride, that's a thing of the past, man. That's gone. When you use our product, it is zero. So what I'm saying is, on top of getting healthy products out there to consumers, we also take care of America and around the world that nobody else will help. Nobody's helping people in Jamaica. We are. So, and we go on in, you'll love this one. The people that we're working closely with are special ops. We're going in with the dome next month. It's a medical dome because the people there are so hurt. You know, you go through a hurricane, you break arms, you do this. It's not a simple walk in the park. And we've gone in with the dome now, and now we set up, and we're going to water it because they can't get water that doesn't have chlorine in it. So that's the problem we have.
Yeah.
So that's what Century does.
Yeah, and I love it. I'm going to show a video here at the end. But I will tell you this, the video you're going to watch, the water bottle that he gave me is not out for mass production yet, but that is the technology they have. And in this video, you're going to see, I literally went out to Utah Lake right by where Geneva Steel used to be. You can see it. I mean, the way it was literally sludge. I mean, it's like, I was actually terrified to do it, but I was just having a leap of faith in Nelson. But the water smelled like, if you've been to Utah Lake, if you've been, it reeks. I feel water bottle, I squirt it. Well, you can watch the video. But here's the thing. I drank it. My wife was like worried because we were going out of town shortly after, and no issues. I mean, it cleaned it perfectly. That water bottle is not out. And I'm going to just kind of let you know right now because we're going to wrap this up. That water bottle is not for sale right now, but he is actually designing something. We'll come back and tell you later on the next show what he's designing, but he is designing something even better than a water bottle. It will blow your mind what's coming, some of the technology that's coming from Nelson.
But Jason, real quick.
Yeah.
The filter in that water bottle is in our Tri-Guard system. You can buy that filter today. It is out. That filter's out, but not the water bottle yet. Filter is in a under the sink product that you can put in your home and protect your home.
Okay. So I'll put that water bottle in the end. If you want to get the system, look, I hate being salesy. Like, I'm here to fight freedom. I'm here to make a difference. The last thing I'm looking to do is be selfish, but I will tell you this. I believe you cannot be drinking and putting this garbage in your body or in your kids' bodies. Have something out there to protect that strips that stuff out of there. This is the best price system I know of, and it's the best. But if you have something else, you don't need it. You're good. If you're good, you're good. But if you need something, you're not going to find a better deal or, I think, a better product, period. And just go to our website, wearethepeople.org. Go to wellness, scroll down, we'll take you to the site. Anything you get on there, if you put in our code, We Are the People, you'll get a 10% discount. And it helps us, right? I'm not going to pretend it doesn't, because Nelson is committed to helping us fight this fight. He is a patriot through and through. And so he has created a system to help us fund our lawsuit and us fund what we're doing. So Nelson, I appreciate you. I appreciate all the innovations you're doing, everything you're doing on this front, because to me, it matters. And to our audience, I'll put this video at the end, but God bless you guys. Thank you for all you do. Get out to the gym. Honestly, 5 days a week, lift heavy, compound movements, squats, deadlifts. Start with low weights, get your body used to it. Get that body used to doing that. Red meats, get your sleep. Get off seed oils, eat healthy. Look, take care of your body. You are a warrior. God needs warriors, and you need to start treating yourself and looking in the mirror and as such. Tyrants don't like healthy, strong opponents, and that's what we need to be. So thank you guys for all you do, and God bless you guys. We'll see you on the next show.
Guys, here out in Utah Lake, some of the most disgusting water I know. We're especially right by Geneva Steel, where all the tailings are at, and the dump is literally right over there. This water, is sick as it gets. I want to show you something amazing. Watch this. Got this new water bottle for centuries for filters anything. Check this out. This crap. Mud, water, all that grossness in there. Okay, see that water? Straight brown. Smells like sulfur. Watch this. Put the water bottle, the filter on it. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, make sure it all gets filtered. Okay, shake this nasty sludge up we got. Watch this. We're gonna pour it right in here. Look at that. I'm gonna get it so you guys can see better. Okay, see the crap in the water bottle? Watch when it comes out. Gonna come out faster, but look how much mud's in there. Like, that's mostly mud. I just want you to see how freaking nasty that is. Okay? And through the filter. And normally when you fill it up, you're not gonna fill it up with mud, but I just want you to see how well this thing works. Okay. Right here, watch this. That's how you can survive anything. It doesn't even taste like sulfur. That's freaking amazing. This is what you gotta have. There's no way when the crap hits the fan and there's nothing but crap, toxic water around, this is what you and your family need. Okay, bad A, right? That's awesome.
What will you do without freedom?
All men lose when they die. All men die, but a slave and a free man lose different things.
They both lose life.
Free man dies, he loses the pleasure of life.
We have shown them that a trembling hand can become a fist.
Slave loses its pain. Death is the only freedom a slave knows. That's why he's not afraid of it.
see a new nation ready to take its place in the world. Not an empire, but a republic, not men. Gentlemen,
One of us gets tired. One of us gets lazy. One of us doesn't keep his edge on. And this is what happens.
my judgment approves this measure, and my whole heart is in it. All that I have, all that I am, and all that I hope in this life, I am now ready to stake upon it. While I live, let me have a country. A free country.